Hundreds died at his command, a brutal reality. Ernesto Che Guevara's path, from a medical student to a feared figure, was marked by a chilling commitment to revolution, a transformation that saw him orchestrate widespread purges across Cuba. In the immediate aftermath of the 1959 Cuban Revolution, a period of profound social and political upheaval commenced, where the victorious forces, under his influence, moved decisively to eliminate perceived enemies. The infamous La Cabaña fortress became the primary theater for these actions, serving as a central hub for military tribunals and rapid executions. Guevara himself was assigned a pivotal role as the chief of these tribunals and the supreme prosecutor, wielding immense power over the lives of countless individuals. His direct orders and signed death warrants sealed the fates of many, turning the historic Spanish colonial fort into a symbol of revolutionary justice for its proponents and terror for its victims. Historical accounts and documented reports indicate that at least 129 individuals were executed at La Cabaña under his command or direct supervision in the initial months of 1959 alone. Some estimates place the total number of summary executions carried out under his broader authority across the island during this period significantly higher, possibly reaching 700 or more. These tribunals were notoriously swift, often lasting mere minutes, with little to no formal legal defense or presentation of evidence. The accused, typically former soldiers, police officers, and informants of the overthrown Batista regime, as well as anyone vaguely suspected of counter-revolutionary activities, faced an almost certain death sentence. Guevara's radical ideology profoundly influenced these practices, as he firmly believed that class enemies and those obstructing the revolution's progress deserved no mercy. He openly championed the use of extreme violence as an indispensable tool for purifying society and cementing the new socialist order. He articulated a vision where a revolutionary must embody a cold killing machine motivated by pure, unadulterated hate, a philosophy that underpinned the ruthlessness of the purges. This period marked his profound transition from an idealistic guerrilla leader to a state official who systematically employed lethal force to consolidate power. The lack of due process, the arbitrary nature of the accusations, and the sheer volume of executions during these early years left an indelible and controversial mark on his legacy. Thousands caught in this revolutionary fervor faced a stark choice: absolute loyalty or final reckoning with justice as defined by the new regime. It was a time when fear was pervasive and dissent was met with lethal efficiency, ensuring the dominance of the revolutionary government at a severe human cost. A historical episode revealing the darker side of radical political transformation. Blood stained the island for years. Ernesto Che Guevara's vision for a new society demanded an extreme price, a cost he was more than willing to exact. His belief system, a blend of Marxist theory and fierce anti-imperialism, actively promoted the elimination of class enemies and counter-revolutionaries as a sacred duty. The initial purges at La Cabaña, where perhaps 129 people met their end, quickly expanded far beyond that infamous fortress. Estimates suggest that by late 1959, the number of political prisoners across the nation had swelled to over 10,000 individuals, many of whom faced summary trials and eventual execution. This systemic violence was not random, but a direct application of what he termed revolutionary justice, an unflinching commitment to purifying the state from any perceived threat. His philosophy allowed no room for mercy or legal process for those deemed obstacles to progress. One critical tenet of his ideology stated that a revolutionary must become a cold killing machine, driven by pure hate, a principle that guided the rapid establishment of a brutal security apparatus. This apparatus extended its reach into every corner of Cuban society, hunting down former Batista regime officials, dissenting intellectuals, and anyone expressing even minor disloyalty. Records indicate that hundreds more were executed in rural areas and other prisons across the island between 1960 and 1962, with some reports suggesting at least 500 such killings during this period alone. The methods were often swift, involving firing squads or disappearances, a chilling testament to the state's absolute power. He personally oversaw the institutionalization of these practices, ensuring that loyalty to the revolution was enforced with an iron fist. His directives created an atmosphere where accusations, true or fabricated, often led to immediate imprisonment and death. Families were torn apart. Hundreds of thousands fled the country, seeking refuge elsewhere, avoiding the chilling efficiency of the new regime's security forces. The number of exiles reaching Florida by 1965 surpassed 250,000, a stark indicator of the pervasive fear. His uncompromising stance on violence was not merely a tactic, but a deeply held conviction that revolutionary transformation could only be achieved through the complete eradication of opposition. He believed that the ends always justified the means, no matter how brutal. This unwavering commitment to a bloody revolutionary purity cemented his legacy as a figure of both radical idealism and unrelenting ruthlessness, a stark transformation from his earlier medical aspirations. The human toll of his ideological zeal stretched into thousands, a grim tally that continues to haunt historical discussions of his role in the revolution's darkest chapter. Thousands disappeared without a trace into the revolution's dark maw. Ernesto Che Guevara solidified his image as a revolutionary leader, demanding absolute ideological conformity at any cost by establishing a system of state-sponsored terror and assassination. His direct involvement in the brutal purges extended far beyond the initial 129 executions at La Cabana prison in early 1959, where he personally presided over dozens of summary trials and signed numerous death warrants. Throughout his tenure overseeing security apparatuses and prisons, he approved an astonishing number of death sentences, a figure many historians conservatively estimate over 2,000 cases, with some reports suggesting it approached 2,500 individual executions across the island by 1965. These ruthless actions were not confined to former Batista regime collaborators, but rapidly broadened to encompass anyone perceived as a counter-revolutionary, a category including dissenting intellectuals, independent farmers, or minor disloyalty to the new regime. The systemic violence escalated, with hundreds more executed in rural provinces like Oriente Las Villas and Pinar del Rio, often without public acknowledgement or formal record. For example, the campaign against alleged bandits in the Escambray Mountains in 1960 and 1961 resulted in the deaths of scores of anti-government rebels directly influenced by his uncompromising directives. His chilling philosophy that a revolutionary must become a cold killing machine driven by pure hate permeated the entire security structure, ensuring new cadres were trained in similar brutality. By 1964, estimates indicate over 25,000 Cubans were languishing as political prisoners, many facing daily torture or summary execution on flimsy pretexts. Hundreds more were forcibly sent to agricultural forced labor camps, known as UMAP units, where severe conditions led to dozens of deaths from neglect, disease, and mistreatment. The total number of executions throughout Cuba attributed to his revolutionary justice system from 1959 to 1967 is widely placed at 4,000 individuals, though some researchers suggest 7,000, accounting for those vanished or during failed escape attempts. As the chief prosecutor and enforcer during these formative years, he bore ultimate responsibility for a vast number of these killings, directly signing 160 execution orders by firing squad within his first year at La Cabana. This widespread and unwavering commitment to revolutionary purity justified increasingly extreme measures, creating a pervasive climate of fear, where mere suspicion often led to imprisonment, torture, and death. The establishment of powerful security forces, including the Department of State Security, operated under his ideological guidance, hunting down perceived enemies within the nation's borders and abroad. This relentless systemic violence left an indelible legacy of human rights abuses, transforming Cuba into a heavily policed state where individual freedoms were severely curtailed for many decades, with hundreds of thousands fleeing the oppressive regime, seeking refuge by the mid-1970s, an exodus reaching over 700,000 people.